If you've ever been to Water Grill over in Bellevue, you know they have tons of delicious seafood on their menu, but they also do steak. And here with a preview is their head chef, Kaelon Sparks. Welcome back to New Day.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure to come and cook on television and have a good time. So today we're going to be talking about our steak program, which, you know, as Water Grill, we always focus on the water and not so much on the grill part. But we've got a partnership with Snake River Farms out in Idaho, and they reached out to us, and we're going to help launch their gold program on our menu. So starting tomorrow on our menus, we're going to be featuring a tenderloin and a ribeye that is an SRF gold label. And just for the people at home.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, the labels signify the beef marbling score, or you'll see like BMS sometimes. And so for a prime, you're usually in like the 5 to 6 out of 12 range. But for the gold label here, they're all 9+. So they have an extremely high amount of marbling in them. Really tons of flavor.
Okay, and what are you gonna show me how to make today?
So we're gonna cook this thing in a hot cast iron. We've got this thing ripping hot, so be careful. You can kind of see the smoke coming up.
I can.
We're gonna hit it with just a little olive oil to get it started, but we're gonna let the fat in this steak do a lot of the work for itself. So we'll pull it out.
And what kind of steak is that, did you say?
So this is the tenderloin. So, you know, people see on menus like filet mignon, right, is what you see, but that's the cut. And so we're gonna go right into our hot pan.
What did you season with that?
Oh, just a little salt and pepper, nothing too crazy.
And how long would something like that on a cast iron cook for?
So, you know, Wagyu actually cooks a lot faster than a normal steak. Because of the high marbling in it, that fat is going to start to render out a lot more quickly. And so, you know, you're grilling at home, you're thinking, all right, well, I'm going to leave this for 4 to 5 minutes on a side and, you know, come back and it'll be medium rare. But with the Wagyu, you're only looking at about 1 to 2 minutes per side.
Really?
Yeah, and then with the cast iron and having that fat render out, it's just going to kind of add more flavor and cook in its own juices and just really like heighten it.
That's what I was wondering, if you have some tips for everyone at home. You know, I call sometimes the steaks that I make hockey pucks. They're not the most delicious sometimes, a little too well done, if you will. So what are some tips?
So the first thing that you might see me doing is I'm not letting the steak sit still in any one part of the pan. So if you think about the pan as one giant hot surface, as you put something cold on it, it's going to make that part of the pan a little bit colder. And so if you want to get that nice, consistent sear, you want to keep moving it around and finding different hot spots on it. And there's a lot of, like, you know, the old wisdom of you only flip it once or you flip it, you know, in half. But we know it's just not true with steaks. You can flip it, you can manipulate it all you want, because in the end, all you're wanting is temperature and a good crust.
And then do you even do the little size, not like 2 or? Like
yeah,
this?
We'll get the edges at the very end, but most of the cooking, because it's a flat steak, is going to go top to bottom. And so we want to get a good crust on each of those sides.
And why the cast iron in like olive oil too? Like, because sometimes you think butter, like, is it just preference?
Yeah, so the big kick of olive oil versus butter, it actually has a lot to do with the moisture content. So when you're trying to get a good crust on your steak and that Maillard reaction, you can't do it in the presence of moisture. And so you want something that is a high fat, so avocado oil, olive oil, something that you can really get a good color on it, so that you can develop that nice crust.
Okay, and I've also seen the trick too, where it's like a little in the cast iron and then someone puts it in the oven.
Yes.
Thoughts on that? Why do people do that?
Absolutely. I actually like to, when I cook at home with a regular cut, not Wagyu, I'll tell you the difference in a second. I do what's called a reverse sear. I start it in the oven and I'll take it up to maybe 105, 110 degrees, and then I'll finish it in my cast iron at home and get the crust on at the end. So it's almost like you're cheating your way to a sous vide. You know, you take it to almost your finishing temperature and then get that crust on at the very end. And it'll actually help you from overcooking it too, because you're not just going to be leaving it and going, well, another minute or two. But for the Wagyu, because of that high fat content, I don't want to do too much time of that, because that fat's going to render out. It's a lot more soft. And so it'll render out more quickly, and it'll actually leave you with a tougher steak. So I like to do this. I'll put a little bit of time in the oven, but I want to get about 80% of the cooking done in the hot cast iron ahead of time.
And this, again, is for a medium rare is what we're going for today.
We want to go for like a medium rare. I would say no more than a medium for a Wagyu, but it's personal preference at the end of the day. But with something with this high marbling, you really just, cooking it well done, I think kind of
defeats the
the
purpose.
purpose, right? But again, I'm not going to judge anyone how they eat their steak. You know, we all have our ways.
You brought a ton with you to share too. What other dishes while that's finishing up?
Yeah, so the next thing I want to highlight is actually we are really coming into mushroom season, which is a lot of Washingtonians' favorite time of year in the kitchen. So I brought a selection of some foraged mushrooms and then one cultivated. So we've got our lobster mushrooms, some chanterelles, some honeydews, and then I've got some oyster mushrooms here. And we're going to be putting this dish on the menu pretty soon. And it's just a really hard roasted mushrooms with a celery root puree and then a little salsa verde. So really simple.
Okay,
so
and
you
the
can
power
see that
of
fat
TV
is already
too.
starting to...
We have about a minute left to taste test.
Perfect. So we're a little there, so we're going to swap this.
Ooh, and then you have a finished one over here. Perfect.
Yeah, we'll pull this guy out here.
Amazing. And you plate that with, what's that sauce on there
So
too?
that's just our chimichurri. So we've got some herbs, a little chili flake and garlic in there, and some briny water, a little bit of olive oil. And so we're going to pull this off here.
Yeah, and I'm going to taste test.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
Absolutely. So we'll come in here and we'll just give you a nice slice right off of there. Oh yeah, we'll get you a little bit of finishing salt there.
Yay.
And then let's give you a little bit of this chimichurri on there.
Please.
Yeah, go to town there.
Okay, you're gonna have to cut me a little smaller so I can read the cheese.
There we go.
Amazing.
I'm cutting the size that I want to eat.
That's still the small. Oh my goodness. Okay, where are you guys located in Bellevue while I eat
so
this?
we're just downtown Bellevue, Lincoln Square, like right at the corner of 8th and Bellevue Way. Can't miss a giant seahorse right on top of the door, so you'll see it as you drive by.
Lots of seafood, lots of steak. Thank you so much for being here.